Hello everyone. Okay guys, soon Dr. Ambarish sir will be joining me. Whatever questions you want to ask, you can ask. But regarding medical only, please. I'm good everyone. Guys, soon I'm joining with Dr. Ambarish sir. He's from Sydney, Australia. Basically, he's from India, but currently he's practicing in Sydney, Australia. So yeah. I'm practicing in Mumbai right now. Okay, guys.
Hello,
Hi, sir. How are you? Good evening.
I'm good. How are you?
All
I think there's an issue with the Wi-Fi. Are you able to hear me?
yeah, yeah, yeah. A little
Okay.
bit. You're looking blurry.
Okay. Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
How are
I
you, Diksha?
think everything is fine, sir.
That's
So
good to hear.
now I think good amount of people are joining us.
That's good. It's always good to have some inputs from the audience. That's the reason Instagram lives are conducted. In fact, I think it's ages I've done Instagram live. The last one was in September last year.
Oh my God. After so long, you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah, and the
That's
reason
nice.
was obviously we moved. The reason was obviously we moved into the webinars in Zoom.
Okay.
So we were just busy doing the webinars and roadmaps and a couple of clinical sessions. So really didn't get time to come on Instagram. But I think we started on Instagram, PhysioEd, around this time last year, exactly a
Oh,
year back.
wow.
And we
Wow.
we were the most popular on Instagram because of the Instagram lives we used to do. So obviously I had a thought that one day we should be coming back on Instagram, and it's what I must say, a good thing that it's with you.
Wow. I'm really glad. I'm very much glad that I am joining with you and I'm hosting you. I'm very glad about it. So I just want
That's nothing on.
you just give one brief introduction about yourself so that audience know about you.
Well, the thing is like some of them obviously aware of with the lives we
Yeah.
have been doing since a year. Yeah, so I was actually myself for around 10 or 11 years, and I was teaching in a couple of institutes in Pune, 2000 when I migrated to Australia person here. And because I was missing the academic side of things, I came with this idea that we should be conducting some educational platform virtually, making everything virtual. The idea was to conduct a platform where we could have some connection between physios in different parts of the country and maybe even the globe. So yeah, it's been a sort of a is there some issue from my side? Is the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, from your side, it's little.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is going to help. If this helps,
Yeah,
much
perfect.
more time of the day. Like yeah, yeah. So
Hi.
it's been a thing. Like it's obviously it's gone from being a virtual platform for Instagram lives to conducting webinars. Vision ahead.
Actually, properly.
Okay, are you able to hear me clearly? If this helps now, let me know because I've changed my location, so obviously that might make a difference.
Yeah,
Oh, oh yeah. Is it better?
yeah, it is better.
Okay, I'm not too sure what's wrong actually. Why it's becoming a sort of a issue. Anyways, whatever. So yeah, meaning so yeah, coming to that first question which you asked me.
Okay. So, how was your journey? Like, as a physiotherapist, how was your journey till now?
Yeah, it's only a journey which is I still believe I started. Though it started around 16 or 17 years back. Though I still believe it's still going on. And I think most of my senior colleagues also, like, all the mentors in the field of physio, those who have been working for decades, like, including Elisa and all the top pioneers of physiotherapy who are there, they still all say that, learning is something which is a continuous process. It never stops. So a journey is a continuous thing, no matter if you're a starter, fresher, a recent graduate, a postgraduate, a 10 years experience, a 50 years experience. It really doesn't matter. It goes on and on and on. And unless we have the hunger to do it, it's never going to be interesting because we should have the zeal to do it, to change the way we approach the profession or the way we approach our patients and clients. Like, so yeah, I mean, journey, obviously, I was a person right from the first day, like, in first year. I love to communicate. I love to interact, socially mix around with people, not only in my field, but also in the other fields like medical, dental, pharmacy, engineering. I always used to interact. I was very active in my institutional level as a graduate and postgraduate both. And I think the first experience which I got was from my second year clinicals when we started the postings. I know I didn't have the greatest of knowledge as a second year. Like, we hardly have covered anat physio and biochem, and we don't know much about it. But I used to love to take
Yeah.
discussions in the clinics, like, especially in front of my juniors. It was always a passion
Wow.
which I always had, right? Right from the second year. So even if I was a second year and there were first year students who used to come, I used to always try and discuss anat or biomechanics, like, and that went on.
Wow.
So when I went to third year, I used to teach my 2 years were junior. When I went to fourth year, I used to teach them who were junior. When I was an intern, I used to feel that I'm actually teaching, like, because I used to teach the juniors. So it went on, and as a postgraduate, obviously, I started taking lectures for my my junior colleagues, like the graduate students. And finally, when I finished my master's in 2007-8, I felt like, okay, I should have a liking for CADs. And that's the reason I got into academics, like, which went on and on for 10 or 11 years till 2018.
Wow.
And obviously, there was a side of me which always wanted to see how things work in different parts of the world. So yeah, meaning that there was sort of imbalance. I felt whether I should continue in acads or whether I should try and explore Canada, Australia. And Australia was something which I always loved because India is a cricket crazy nation, and any sporting crazy country, if you see Australia is right on top, because in
Correct.
Australia they
Definitely.
don't. In India, it's all about cricket. It's only cricket. A to Z, it's
Yeah.
just cricket. There's nothing else. Like I mean, I do understand we are passionate about it, but in Australia, it's like every sport, like right from swimming, tennis, and hockey, and the rugby. They're very sporty, and hence the awareness of physiotherapy here is extremely high. Extremely high. Meaning, even as a
Absolutely.
layman,
Yeah, yeah.
how we talk about our discussions in different parts of the world, we talk about trying and talking layman's language, don't use medical words. But if you see a common person's knowledge about medical words here, especially in
Hmm.
physio, like a range of motion, strength, sensory assessment, motor assessment, the common people are aware about all these things. Like when it comes to injuries, also like grade one, grade two, what's a
Definitely.
sports specific rehab. So that makes a
Hmm.
difference here. I mean, I'm not trying to demean anyone, any country to another, because each one has a specific positive about themselves. But the awareness was very high here, and that prompted me to make a switch from academics to come here. And that's how it just, and now it's almost 4.5 years, and I don't feel I should be moving anywhere else. Like it's just a part of me now. Yeah.
And mostly it is like sports rehab is so much, I guess, in the
It
like,
is. It is. It's more manual here. We don't
yeah, yeah.
have much of electro stuff happening. Even like I've made a switch because I was a MSK physio in India, but I'm more into adult neuro and geriatric rehab here. So there is a switch
Wow.
there. I'm not into MSK here, so I'm not the right person to comment on what happens in clinics here. But from what I've heard from my colleagues who work in clinical setups here, they are more into manual stuff, and obviously it's more about exercise-based rehab rather than electro-based rehab. Obviously, they do give electro if there's a pain intervention required, which gets relieved by, say, stimulation or your interferential currents or something like that. They do use, but it's very minimum though. It's more
Yeah.
exercise rehab, like yeah. So that makes a big difference because
Difference.
uh, the approach. See, even I would say it's not that one approach is right or wrong. I mean, India obviously has. I in fact say this to everyone, all my ex-students and all physios whom I interact with on social media, that if there is a country which offers you the best bachelor's program, the basics, the
Yeah.
strongest, it is India. It is India
That is
because
India.
our academic structure in India is pretty good. A person who has done
Oh,
bachelor's of physiotherapy in India can survive anywhere in the world because you have been
absolutely.
taught everything in detail. And not only that, it's that the hands-on which you have got in terms of patient
Hmm.
exposure with our
Hmm.
ever-increasing population, it is massive. It is massive
Massive.
because yeah, because I remember even 6 months of internship which I did a few decades ago. The amount of patients I saw in six months is extremely high. I don't think a physio in Europe or US, Australia will see that many patients in even 1.5 or 2 years. What I intern see in
Oh,
6 months. Yeah,
wow.
that
Wow.
is the amount of exposure we get. So yeah, meaning
That's
it is fascinating, and hence an Indian physio can serve anywhere. That's what I believe. If you have a bachelor's in India, and yeah, no, just no drifting away from your question, but one point which I always say is that there's no age to think about moving, like switching
No.
a
No.
part of a
Mm-hmm.
career, like from
Mm-hmm.
one setup to another, or from moving from one country to another. There's no age. People say it's too late for you. Like sometimes the people, they sound discouraging because there are some junior colleagues of mine, those who ask me, I'm thinking about moving to Canada or Europe. Do you think am I late? I'm like, what do you mean by you're late? There's nothing which is late.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Meaning either you're thinking you are too experienced or either you're thinking you're old.
Old.
And I don't agree
Mm.
with both of them. So, so yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it is like the doors are always open. Like there's no
Yeah.
age where you should think about you cannot move anywhere. And one other thing which people normally ask is why do I promote Australia so much on social media? I'm not promoting anyone. I'm not attached to any university. I'm not having any sort of a collaboration with any university of sending students anywhere or anything like that. It is just because I'm being based here for 5 years. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't. I had no clue, Diksha, in 2008 about immigration. I had no clue. Okay,
Oh.
and I had a
Mm-hmm.
part of me which wanted to go abroad. And I've
Mm-hmm.
said this before in a few Instagram lives. It's like in 2008, I did not have the money to set up a center clinic for myself. Financially, I was not secured. So obviously, thinking about immigration was beyond my what do reach. And even 2021, 22, I do believe there are enough physios in the country, those who believe they can
Mm-hmm.
go somewhere. But the
Mm-hmm.
major hindrance which they have is either they don't know how to do it, or they don't know,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have the financial support required because not everyone is blessed in that regard.
Correct.
So that's
Yeah.
that's the that's the reason I try to create a sort of a network or structure where at least in a minimum sort of what I can say sort of talk or communication, I try to give them the options. Like this is what can suit you. It's up to you now what you want to do. With all due respect to Indian setup, because Indian setups are now physiotherapy is really people are doing
Evolving a
really
lot.
well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct.
Absolutely, because I wouldn't believe 10 years back, like if you see the centers which we had in different parts of the country,
Mm-hmm.
and if you see
Mm-hmm.
what setups people have today, physios, they are massive. Like
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
only in
Massive.
Mumbai, Delhi, or Bangalore, even if you go to smaller cities now, even in the regional places, like I know one person who runs a setup in a sort of a village. I won't name this village. It's near Pune on the way to
Okay.
Nashik. And it's one of those remote places where there's only wineries and stuff like that. But he runs a rehab center and he does extremely well. Per day, he earns in six-digit figures, I can say, almost.
Wow.
That's how
And people
many
used to
people.
call, yeah, people
Yeah.
used to call it like massage wala and kasrat
Oh,
wala and whatnot.
yeah.
Before it
See,
was used to.
yeah, meaning obviously some people will obviously still say it.
Still
It's
say
we are the advocates of our profession. We are the advocates. So unless if we
advocates.
perform and we show the result to the client or the patient, people are not going to believe what we can do. And another one
Hmm.
common say, I always have been saying, like I used to use this statement a lot when I used to teach, is like if like due respect to other professions, we just have 32
Hmm.
teeth. Okay. So
Yeah.
those are the opportunities those are the opportunities a dentist has.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Hmm.
32. Obviously, your smile, orthodontics, your facial, cosmetics, all other things are different things. But 600 odd bones and muscles in the body, more than that. So you can imagine how much opportunity a physio has, like if it's
Yes.
correctly explored. So,
In
and you
every
don't require,
aspect it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Correct.
you don't require a big setup. You just require a set of hands to work. That's
Correct.
it.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, yeah, it's up to you how you make it.
One person asked that what is the scope for masters of physiotherapy in abroad? One person asked.
Okay, that's a good question. I think we have covered it a lot in the past, but obviously I'll just try and give a brief sort of statement. It is good, but I always say
Mhm.
you should be clear about what you want to do. Like if you want to set up in India, then there's no point of doing masters abroad and then coming back to India because the amount of investment you should do in a country abroad to make that same money back in India, it's going to take some time. Unless and until you want to do something specific like a manual therapy course for 1.5 years or something abroad, and then you want to come back and practice
Mhm.
only manual therapy, or you want to do pediatrics, suppose, and you want to do NTT or Bobath somewhere in US, and then come back, then it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, there is enough scope for masters abroad, but it really depends upon your interest and where you want to settle. Whether you want to settle in that country, then it's a good option. If you want to come back to India, obviously it depends upon how you want to carry it ahead. Like whether you want to be, running your own setup, because you definitely have to run your own setup to practice what you have
Yeah.
learned. Not all hospitals are going to
Absolutely.
allow you if you to practice. Example, if you have done a manual therapy masters in Australia and you go back to India, a hospital setup in India won't allow you to do manual therapy everywhere. They will have their own set protocol.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it depends how you're going to work. So yeah, it is good, obviously. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. One student asked that what is the process of internship in India itself? Like how
hmm
people can search for better internship? What is the main goal we can go for the internship in India itself?
Uh, yeah. I had a discussion with another physio who finished her fourth year and is into an internship, and I think she contacted you. You won't name her, but I think she contacted you, and it was regarding internship in Bombay or Bangalore. We won't mention the name, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
on the live.
yeah, 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 yeah. I got a message. Yeah.
Yeah. So people are actually in a sort of a confused zone when it comes to external internship, but I have always spoken for them, because when you go for an external internship, it gives you a touch of exposure to different sort of setups, different set
Mhm.
of patients. It gives you interaction with different clinicians, different surgeons. So your basic mindset as a physio expands. So example, if I've done my bachelor's in Bangalore, and if I go and do an external internship, say in Mumbai or Delhi, it's
Yeah.
definitely going to help me. No matter even if I have to invest for those 6 months, say 50,000 or 40,000 or whatever the fees are. But when I do an external internship, it gives me exposure with the patients there. It gives me an exposure to professors there. It gives me an exposure to the other physios there, which is priceless. So yeah, may I always recommend it. Though what I have heard from my colleagues, teaching colleagues in the last 1.5 years, things have become a bit hard because of COVID, and many
Hmm.
hospitals don't allow that many number of interns to come and practice, and obviously there are many interns who are still looking for external placements. So things are hard, but if you find a way and if you start working on it in fourth year, you can definitely have an
Hmm.
external internship in a good hospital in a different city. That highly
Oh,
recommended. Yeah.
perfect. So,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask that what is the clinical management which is
hmm
differ from the India, like in Australia? Like if you talk about clinical
yeah
management.
yeah so uh, treatment is treatment. It's almost the basic idea is same across the globe. I wouldn't say like Australia, Canada, UK is better than India. But one thing which is definitely different is patient consent and patient
Hmm.
permission. So in India, it's like the patient just blindly follow what's been told. Like, if the orthopedic surgeon has told them, say, 5 settings of IFT or ultrasound, whatever, or diathermy, whatever,
Yeah.
or some even neuro rehab, they just blindly follow it and they come to the physio. Even the physio tries to convince them and gets convinced. They just want the same rehab every day for 10 days or 15 days.
Hmm.
Whereas in Europe or in US or in Australia, the things are the patient comes only once a week or twice a week, not every day.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's only once a week or twice a week. The rest of the 4 or 5, I think I lost you. Yeah, I think it's back. There's a bit of an issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, meaning that's one difference, and another difference is obviously when it comes to the planning of the treatment also. Here it is like we assess the patient and say this is the
Hmm.
problem with you. You have to explain to them like we think this is the condition and you're going to benefit from so and so thing. but we have so many options. We can go for this or we can go for that. What would you like? So
Absolutely.
we are offering them. So we are offering them a
Yeah,
plate A or plate B. Which plate would you like to be served on? So we are
yeah,
offering
yeah.
the treatment, and so what we say, it is more patient focused or client focused treatment here, in which the client decides what they want to take. And it is obviously in collaboration with the doctor or with the physio. Whereas in India, we try and force the things upon them, like, you have to take that.
Have to take
You
that.
have to
Yeah,
do this.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that is a major clinical difference. Like, and obviously, I say the number of settings, it's not like every day. It's like hardly even my colleagues who work in clinics here, they hardly see the patients every day. They might call them, if they're really bad, they might call them alternate
Mm-hmm.
days 3 times a week. That's maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's usually twice a week, like say Monday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Friday, or Wednesday and Saturday. And then they call them every week, like a follow-up, like, and the patients follow up. Whereas in India or in some parts of the other parts of the world, it's like they call them for 10 days and they undergo the same treatment every day at the same place, same time, doing the same thing. And irrespective whether changes happen, obviously things are changing now, because even in setups in India, like the rehab programs or the things are evolving. They're changing. They're getting more, sort of influence from the European culture for the US or from Australia, and things are changing. But the
Yeah,
basic conventional physio in India was, yeah, I mean, it was a bit more patient. It was more physio decided or ortho decided, not patient decided. Like patient's consent was not given that much amount of what I can say importance, which now they are definitely giving. Yeah.
correct. Someone asked that what are the exams for empathy in India and outside? Like how they can apply for the empathy exams and what is the process?
That this is very subjective, depending upon which country you're going or which university you're going. So each university in one country also has a different procedure. Now, if you talk about Australia, which I talk about in the webinars, is like the procedure is obviously you need around 70% minimum in each year, 75% minimum. That obviously depends whether you're doing a specialization master's or a general master's. General masters are
Mm-hmm.
pretty hard, yeah, because it's a full-time course for 2 years. Specialization masters can be 1 year, 1.5 year, 2 years, depending upon what specialization you're doing. So there is no specific general criteria. I can't give a general answer for that because each university has its own requirement. Each country has its own requirement. Like maybe even two universities in the same city have different requirements. So there's no general answer, but yes, obviously financially the each university has a sort of a hierarchy. So if you go for the topmost university, the fee will be almost double what the fee of the lower ranked university will be. So right from the fees, right to the tenure of the course, and what I can say, the structure, each thing differs. Like there's no general answer for that.
Yeah. So nowadays it is happening like new modalities are coming, like
Hmm.
biostimulation, ichthyoscopes,
Yeah, yeah.
so many
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
like modalities are coming
Matrix.
and
This is Matrix
everything.
also, which is going on big.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Matrix is going big
correct.
things. Like, yeah.
And with the microcurrents, there are some innovations which is happening, which is helping so many
Yeah,
stroke patients and neurological cases and all.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
what do you think? Like, modalities usually work or manual therapy only works for the patients?
I think a combination works the best. It's usually a
Mm-hmm.
combination. Neuro obviously is more exercise based, but obviously electro is in part of neuro rehab is also coming big time. So we can't say that exercise therapy or manual therapy is the superior thing and electro has been outdated. No, not definitely no. But electro has to be used in a sort of a timely way, only that much specific dose has to be given. You should not overdo it. Like
Yeah.
olden times, many decades ago, maybe a few years back, there used to be an overdosage. Like we used to give a shortwave diathermy for days and days, or IFT, or even like your Faradic galvanic currents. There used to be overusage. But if you use them
Mm-hmm.
correctly in the right dosage and combine it with manual therapy, yes, the results are much, much better. So it has to be a combination, which we say, like a combined therapy or combination therapy. Like that works the best.
Yeah. So, what are questions you want to ask? You can ask anything.
Yeah, they can still keep asking. It's not a lecture, it's not a webinar, it's a very open, casual talk which we are having, myself and Diksha. So it's a very open. Yeah, it's nothing a very sort of a closed-ended session. So it's more like a Instagram live, which are more like a just a casual talk. Yeah.
So what is your plan coming back to India? It's like settling there or
Obviously, I don't have any plans of settling, like coming back rather. I would obviously continue working here. But the things change with time. So, and I always believe that you can obviously change locations many times in your lifetime, like because there's only one life. You have to explore as much as you can. So I'm not ruling out
yeah.
that I might not make another move to anywhere else. You never know. After next Instagram life, if I do with you, I might be in some other part of the world. I can assure you that. It is possible. It comes with a challenge.
Yeah.
And the thing with me is like, and the thing with many of my other friends or colleagues also is like, it's not only about me. It's like, if you work in one setup for a long time, you get into a comfort
Hmm.
zone. You get in the comfort
Absolutely.
zone. Everyone
Hmm.
knows you. You have a high regard there, and everything you say is taken like the statement. No one challenges you. Whereas if you change your location after every 2 or 3 years, or you change a sort of attachment, get a new attachment online on board, then you are a fresher there, no matter what your experience is, and you are challenged. You have to prove your value there, like
Yeah.
because people don't know you. So that's the most interesting part, which I like, is I don't like to get into comfort zone for more than 3 or 4 years. I'd like to switch jobs. I like to go to places where people don't know me, see me,
Hmm.
how I work, prove myself with a few patients, get the feedbacks, and then try to build up from there, which is always a good thing to learn when you're challenged. Otherwise, if you are just like, if you have only one attachment for years and years and years, then you might be a bit like, you might not find it very, this thing, like, challenge provoking. Like, so yeah, I mean, each one is different. Many physios do prefer doing that. Like, obviously, you are superior or senior there, but they still go on ventures at different platforms and still challenge themselves. So that's a good thing to do, which I believe.
Yeah. And nowadays competition is also so much that
Yeah,
every part of India and everywhere, like
yeah,
there are so many physios who are working together and
yeah, yeah.
doing wonders now.
Yeah, and especially I'll tell you the main thing, which is physio is actually growing very rapidly in India in the last few years, is I think the amount of sporting leagues which have come, not only cricket and
Yeah.
hockey, kabaddi and tennis. Because I have a few friends who are working in cricket leagues, like I have a few who are attached to IPL teams. I have a few who are attached to the kabaddi league. I have a few who are attached to the tennis league, which has come. So, and they are doing extremely well in terms of sports
Wow.
rehab. A few physios are attached to what you can say, the Olympic stars, like people who
Hmm.
are in this thing in athletics. And even as a personal physio to one of them, like even for a boxer or an athlete, you make good amount of money and you're well renowned for what you do. Like, because athletes like to have their personal physios these days. It's a sort of a thing which, because physio has grown so much, the amount of sporting field recognition of physiotherapy is increasing every year, and hence the opportunities. Obviously,
Absolutely.
there is competition, and nothing comes easy. There's a lot of competition to
Mm.
get to that level. It starts from very hard work from the ground level, but once you get recognized, you will be rewarded, no doubt in that. There are rewards
Mhm.
much more than what they were 10 years back. That is the true.
Absolutely. One person asked that what is the procedure to get a job in Australia? Can you please
Oh, that's
guide
a
about the same?
it's a long, it's something which, if we start talking now, which is around 10 o'clock in Australia, it'll be midnight. It'll be midnight. I don't want to discourage the question. I would definitely say you can just refer to the what you can say website, ahpra.com.au. AHPRA. There's a AFRA website, which is the Medical Registry Board of Australia. And if you go to APC, Australian Physiotherapy Council website, they have given the pathway of how an overseas physio can enter Australia. So the person who questioned that can just have a look at that, and still, if they have doubts, they can give me a DM or text anytime on Instagram, and I'll try and revert as much as I can. Like that will help, because if we actually discuss that, it's going to take a long time.
Yeah. And one more
Yeah.
question. Sorry, I'm asking you so many
No, no,
questions,
it's
but
okay.
yeah,
I think it's
it's,
good to
I
have the
think everyone
interaction.
is, yeah,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
good to have the interaction. Yeah, rather than me just talking about the highlights and you asking me the highlights and me just telling the highlights, it's good to have an interaction. In fact, I would
Interaction.
like to hear from, and even our audience would love to hear what you have been doing. Like after this question, we'll switch the focus on you, Diksha, and you can tell us about your work and what your plans are.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell that. After
Yeah,
completing all the questions the audience wants to ask, one
yeah.
has asked that after completing postgraduate, which is good clinical and academics in other countries?
Ah, that's a nice question. Think clinical is definitely rewarding anywhere in the world. No disrespect to all my academic friends, including myself, because we have been in ACADS for so many years. But ACADS, you should have a passion for teaching, passion to teach. That's when you become an academician. If you don't have the passion for teaching, you won't do it. You will leave it after some time. So when it comes to abroad, getting into an academic sector is really hard. It's not easy. Like getting into
Mhm.
acads in Australia, it's extremely hard. You will have to be a physio in Australia for decades and decades and done a lot of research publications and a lot of conferences and a lot of research. That's when you might be able to apply for a uni job. That is the amount of
Yeah.
competition. So getting into acads in an international overseas country is not at all easy. Especially the issue what happens is because we have a Indian bachelors. Now, with due respect to Indian bachelors, which I just praised some time back, overseas
Mhm.
universities don't recognize Indian bachelors in every country. Australia
Oh,
doesn't recognize Indian bachelors. So that's the reason getting into an Australian university as a professor is not easy. Getting into an European university as a professor is not easy unless and until you have done some specialization or PhD in that country, like along with the research publications. That's when you will be more considered. Like if you have a master's there, a PhD there, or you have published around a good amount of articles in well-renowned index journals, that's when you
mhm.
might get a chance. Otherwise, with a plain degree or post-graduation, you can't expect getting an academic. Like, it's very hard.
Like nowadays, people are going for a lecturership also, like in this
Yeah, they
field
do.
only. Yeah,
They
and
do.
they are
Especially at
evolving.
Yeah, especially in Middle East, and if you go to see, because we had a Middle East webinar taken a few weeks or months back, and there are a lot of
Mhm.
opportunities. People are just thinking about Europe and US and Canada and Australia. There are many other countries in the world where you can think about moving. It, you only need to explore it. It's not that one Australia or Europe is the beginning and the end of the world. You can think about
Yeah.
Dubai, you can think about the Middle East, you can think about South America, you can think about, I won't name now Eastern Europe because of the amount of problems what they're having now. But they are the parts of the they are the parts of the globe where people have gone and they're doing well. Because I have a couple of students or three students who are settled in different European countries like Belgium, Norway, Sweden. Like people don't
Mhm.
think about all these countries. Like people only think about England, like or like the island, but you don't think about other countries. But there are opportunities if you actually dig deep. It's see,
Yeah. Mhm.
there is a basic mindset. I have had this question asked by a few physio students, those who interact with me on social media. They said like, so my senior says there's no scope for physiotherapy. It's saturated. So I said, I just reply in a very blunt way. I said, like, tell me one profession where after you
Exactly.
graduate, someone is
Yeah.
going to put a red carpet for you, along with a salary package, and say, please walk in, do the job, and I'll give you this salary. There's no profession in the world.
Hmm.
Even a software engineer, even an MBBS doctor, surgeon, or a MD medicine or MS ortho, they have to grind a lot, and they grind much more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's no cooked up recipe that after you graduate or postgraduate you'll be getting sort of a plate served with a lot of dollars or pounds or rupees written on them. So you have to create your way. And one way I always say that you have to differentiate yourself in the crowd. There's a crowd. So when,
Mhm.
example, Diksha finished her masters, when you finished your masters, there was obviously a crowd of say 10 or 20 or 25 people. Now it's up to you how you're differentiating yourself, whether on social media or whether in your clinical practice, that will make you stand miles apart from the rest of the others. In say 2 years or 5 years, you will be at a different position which your colleagues may not be. So it's up to you to create the what I can say, the pathway for yourself. No one's going to make it
Answer.
for you. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And most of the time, people used to ask that there is no council. IAP is only the registered platform where we can
Hmm.
apply for
Yeah.
this. So,
Well, there
like
are councils
usually,
coming up. Yeah, there are councils
yeah,
in almost every state in India, like including Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, and Delhi,
yeah,
all
they
have the
have
independent
created
state
their own council.
councils. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
state
yeah.
councils. So
So,
things are
so what
happening. It's
is
not
the?
things are not happening. Yeah. Many of my colleagues, even senior physios, they are doing things. They are working on ways to create an independent national council. I know it's been going on for years now, but the picture is definitely better than what it was. No doubt in
Better.
that. Because when I left India in 2017, and if I come back for
Mhm.
a holiday now in 2022-23, there is a difference where physiotherapy stands. No doubt in that. It is much, much better. Yeah. Yeah.
So it is important to apply for IAP registration. Is it important to all the physios to apply for that? Like to
It
open
is
the setup or
definitely.
something?
Definitely, meaning definitely important to get registered with the state council, whichever state you are. You have to get registered.
Mhm.
Whether in Maharashtra, I say you have to get registered with the MSOTPD council. Whether you're in Gujarat or Karnataka or Delhi, you have to get registered with the state council, and you have to get associated with your national body. Because whenever you want to go abroad, when you want to do anything, your national registration is required. So you have to have it.
Absolutely.
There's no, yeah, and it's not a big amount because I'll tell you, in India, you do it and you get a lifetime membership. Whereas any other part, lifetime membership with that whatever amount you pay, you go in
Yeah.
any part of the world. No association or council gives you a lifetime membership. It's only for 1 year or 2 years. UK
Two
gives it for
years,
two
correct.
years.
Mhm.
Australia gives for 1 year. You have to renew it every year with a specific amount of money. So you are blessed that you just have to do it once in a lifetime. Otherwise, it's a lot of, yeah. You have to do it, no doubt in that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I have flooded so many questions.
Yeah, now it's up to
So
you now. You need to tell about your interests and what you have been doing because you are active on social media, and that
yeah.
was like how we connected. And I thought, like, yeah, you should talk about what your interest is or what you're planning to do ahead.
Well, I've completed everything in Jaipur, Rajasthan. BPT,
Mm-hmm.
MPT, everything. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I was working in Bangalore Manipal Hospital. Then, with God
That's good.
grace,
That's nice.
I
Yeah.
met Ali Rani sir. He just called me that you should come and just see what all is
Yeah.
happening in Nanavati. So
That's
I get
great.
a very good exposure over there, and
Yeah.
I learned so much over there. So
Yeah.
it was basically the part of a very good journey. Now let's
That's
see
good.
further. I'll be planning for the setup thing. Let's see how it works.
It will go great. I'm sure about that. Maybe the next time we connect, maybe the next time we connect on Instagram Live, you will have a lot of things to talk about, Diksha.
Oh my God.
You will.
No, it was
Okay.
actually, I think we got so many knowledge from you regarding the session, like what all questions. I think
Mm-hmm.
everyone is aware of it
Mm-hmm.
now. So
Yeah.
let's see how it goes further.
Surely. We'll hope to connect sometime again in the near future,
Yeah,
whenever it happens. It was nice talking to you and interacting with all the physios who were live and will watch the session later, maybe, like,
yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
the IGTV, and we'll have to observe how that goes, and maybe we'll plan something maybe in the near future. All the best to
Yeah,
everyone and all the best to
definitely.
you.
All the
Take care.
best. Thanks.
Yeah, thank
Bye.
you.
Bye,
Yeah,
sir.
bye bye. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.